When Thomas Tuchel announced England's World Cup squad, everyone was stunned. Names that were automatic picks for years were missing. Players who scored in finals, players who won trophies just months ago, players who had been the face of English football, not included. And the reaction was exactly what you'd expect. Outrage.
Harry Maguire's not going to get in this team.
We've just heard it from Ben Jacobs.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Confused.
There are some picks that were a little bit strange there.
Accusations that the German had lost the plot before the tournament even started. But here's what nobody is asking. What if Tuchel saw something that the rest of us missed? What if the problem with England was never about talent, but about something else entirely? Something that's been hiding in plain sight for 36 years. In the last 36 years, England went past the World Cup quarter-finals only once, and that was back in 1990 when Gaza cried on the pitch and Lineker looked at the camera like he knew something was broken. The whole country felt the emotions, and the love for England's football team grew stronger. Since then, the hype gradually increases every time a major tournament begins, and when they failed to do better than 1990, disappointment turns into anger. There was France '98 when a young David Beckham got sent off against Argentina for that little kick on Simeone, and the whole nation turned on him overnight, burning effigies in the streets. There was also 2002 when Ronaldinho floated a free kick over David Seaman's head from 40 yards out, and everyone in England sat there in disbelief, fans cursing at David Seaman for not reading the ball well. Then came Germany in 2006 with what was supposed to be the golden generation at its absolute peak. Instead, we got Wayne Rooney stamping on Ricardo Carvalho's groin, got a red card, and another penalty shootout loss, this time to Portugal. While the hate turned to Cristiano Ronaldo instead because of that wink, Rooney didn't have a great time with the media either. 4 years later, South Africa brought one of the most embarrassing results in English football history, a 4-1 demolition by Germany in the round of 16. The game was so one-sided that even Frank Lampard's goal that crossed the line was overshadowed by England's inability to meet expectations. Every single one of those squads had world-class players, but the one thing that is not helping England teams is the media attention, the disease nobody talks about. In 2018 and 2022, both England squads had additional hype. Football's coming home was on repeat every time they won. When they don't, players suffer mentally. The hype builds up tremendously for England months before every tournament, cranking up the pressure. The media builds them into world beaters before they even kick a ball. Frank Lampard admitted it years later, saying this.
Didn't really enjoy it, and that's one of my regrets. You can call them that. I enjoyed Euro 2004. It went well for me personally, it went well for everyone, but I was so focused and so determined that when I knew that I wasn't playing so well, which I didn't in World Cups, I was on myself, and then everything else comes into play.
Rio Ferdinand said the Golden Generation tag had a negative effect on the players. These aren't excuses from players looking for sympathy. These are confessions from top players admitting that the burden of wearing the England shirt, of carrying 60 years of hope on their shoulders, broke them. And this could be the reason we are not seeing some of them in the 2026 team. Phil Foden was destined to be England's creative heartbeat. He won the Premier League's Player of the Year just 2 seasons ago. But in the later half of the season, he was benched after a run of poor performances. Foden came out to say that he was suffering from mental fatigue from the previous season, which contributed to his underwhelming season. Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the best passers in football, but since the defeat in the Euros, Trent has been struggling for form for his country. He hasn't played for England in a year. At Real Madrid, his club ended the season trophyless, and injuries and inconsistencies have given more reasons for Tuchel to leave him out. Cole Palmer was a Club World Cup winner just a year ago, but Chelsea had a poor season. Palmer is seen as their creative source and talisman, but he couldn't lift the Blues, and they eventually missed out on Europe. The pressure that weighed heavily on these three in Euro 2024, the many games they have played since. A major tournament like the World Cup isn't a competition where you'd suddenly turn things around. You might not even get a starting chance, and to save them from more pressure, knowing how the media is like, they've been left out completely. But you might ask, what about Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, or even Morgan Gibbs-White? Their form suggests the opposite. Another question would be why John Stone, or even Ivan Toney? England breezed through the World Cup qualifiers, but it was the international friendlies that showed Tuchel who and what he needed. A year ago, in June 2025, England played Senegal in a friendly. Nobody expected much. Tuchel had only been in charge a few months. He made changes and gave a run-out to as many players as possible. Harry Kane scored after 7 minutes. Everything looked fine. And then Senegal took over. Kyle Walker switched off, and Ismaila Sarr stole in at the back post. In the second half, Habib Diarra exploited the space behind England's defense and fired through Dean Henderson's legs. Then, Sheikh Sabali added a third in stoppage time. 3-1 Senegal, the first time England had ever lost to an African nation. The fans booed. Tuchel admitted England looked frozen. Kane said the team had lost their aggressive nature. Fast forward to March 2026, the final camp before World Cup squad selection. England hosted Uruguay before playing Japan. 2 games to make a final impression, 2 games for players on the bubble to prove they deserve a seat on the plane. Against Uruguay, England drew 1-1. Sloppy, stop-start, nothing clicked. Against Japan, they lost 1-0 to a Kaoru Mitoma winner. He dispossessed Cole Palmer, drove forward, and finished the move himself. Watching the ball get taken off him, watching the opposition score because of it. Tuchel saw that, and he saw everything else that didn't work since he became England boss. Every tournament sees the biggest names getting called up. Doesn't matter if he's playing well or not. But this time round, Tuchel made sure he picked players with good form, specialists at certain aspects of the game, and players high in morale coming off a successful season. In doing so, Tuchel managed expectations to a certain extent, made clear his plans for the team, and killed the one thing that hurts England the most: the hype.
Who believes England are going to win the World Cup?
The 26 men going into the World Cup is probably the least hyped of them all. No golden generation headlines, no pressure machine cranking up expectations to impossible levels, and that might be exactly what England needed. Because make no mistake, this team is good. There is not a single nation in this World Cup that England cannot beat on their day. And when you actually look at the names Tuchel did select and what they've done this season, it starts to make a lot more sense than the initial outrage suggested. So, instead of focusing on the players England left behind, let's actually look at who they took to the World Cup. Harry Kane leads the line, and that was never going to change. A prolific striker, still producing at an elite level, with 71 goal contributions at Bayern this season, still finishing and linking play like nobody else in the game. The leadership, the experience, the ability to deliver in big moments, it's all there. Jude Bellingham sits behind him as the 10, the engine who arrives late in the box and finishes like a number 9. The player Real Madrid trusted to carry their attack this season. Bukayo Saka occupies the right wing, creative and direct and capable of magic in tight spaces, coming off another stellar campaign at Arsenal, where he was involved in everything good they did going forward. Declan Rice anchors the midfield. Arsenal finally lifted major silverware, and Rice was at the centre of everything they did. His work rate is absurd, but what makes him special is how complete he's become. Easily one of his best seasons so far in his career. Tuchel has options to make up the rest of the midfielders and wingers. Kobbie Mainoo brings energy and composure beyond his years. Elliot Anderson offers versatility and fight. On the left, Anthony Gordon has the pace and directness to stretch any defense. Marcus Rashford arrives, revived after his move to Barcelona. confident again and dangerous in transition. Eberechi Eze and Noni Madueke offer exactly what they bring to Arsenal, and Tuchel is modelling that strategy. At the back, Mark Gueye and Ezri Konsa have formed a partnership that looks genuinely solid. John Stones and Jordan Henderson provide experience when needed. Reece James offers quality at right back. Jordan Pickford remains the number one, a goalkeeper who has never let England down in a major tournament. And crucially, Ivan Toney is back, a specialist striker, a plan B. When England need to go direct, when they need to hold the ball up and bring others into play, when they need a physical presence that can bully defenders, Toney provides that. The talent is still available, even without some of the biggest names. But crucially, it might be the most balanced ever. Thomas Tuchel has never been a manager who collects stars and hopes they figure it out. He builds systems and finds players who fit them. At Chelsea, he won the Champions League with a squad that wasn't even close to being the most talented in Europe that season. But they were organised and disciplined. That's what he's trying to do with England. The shape is likely a 4-2-3-1, but the numbers don't tell the full story. What matters is the intensity. England, under Tuchel, press higher than they did under Southgate. They're more aggressive in transition, they're quicker to win the ball back, and quicker to attack once they have it. Under Southgate, there was always a sense that England were waiting for something to happen, sitting back and hoping to counter, reluctant to impose themselves on games. Tuchel doesn't coach like that. His teams are proactive. England always has the players, but what they've never tried is letting the manager be himself. Sven-Göran Eriksson couldn't drop Beckham without causing a national crisis. Steve McLaren was a punchline before he even failed to qualify. Fabio Capello had to navigate egos and expectations that made actual football almost secondary. Even Gareth Southgate, who came closer than anyone in decades, was perpetually second-guessed, constantly told he was too cautious, regularly reminded that England should be doing more with the players they had. Tuchel doesn't seem to care about any of that, and according to him, teams win championships, he said, not a collection of talents. Whether Tuchel is going to be right or wrong, only time will tell. But one thing he has done, there isn't the usual hype. The expectations have been tapered. He selected a squad more balanced than ever before. And if England don't go far, one thing's for sure. The media won't go for the players, but Tuchel. If you like this, check out these videos on your screen, and I'll see you there.